Jovan I. Deretic, Divonia. Serbian Divonia. Our ancestors' beliefs can be followed gradually over the last 10,000 years. People believe that there is some force that is about them, that is more powerful than them, and that influences their destiny. They were looking for ways to please her and to make her good-natured. The first belief that they understood as the power of the natural universe was the sun. Then they also believed in other phenomena, especially in the role of earth, which gives birth and gives all fruits, and fertilized by the sun makes life possible. With the development of human society, understandings of multi-purpose deities also develop that affect certain events. We have the leftover of the tradition of the first Serbian theologian who was called Sorbet. He was the son of Prince from Thrace, Raška, and he even managed a territory that was located in a region of what will later become Macedonia, before Macedonia even existed. Divon, east of Olympus, and the river Struma are mentioned as one of the places of his sermons. He is depicted as a theologian, poet, and musician. The Greeks call him Orpheus. Sorbet not only preached orally, but also had written books, the so-called holy books. The most important of Sorbet's Bible was explanation of the origin of the world. His main teachings were engraved on gold plates, which, before his death, he hid in a cave on Stara Planina, Old Mountain. In addition to the Serbs, Sorbet exerted a strong influence on Greeks as well, who admit that he was not Greek, that they only Greekized his name from Sorbet to Orpheus. Sorbet was a theologian, poet, and a musician. It is said that he knew the special power of music, and when he played his lyre, animals and wild beasts gathered around him, and he even attracted the trees. Sorbet arranged the Serbian beliefs, which later in principle were also adopted by Christians. The theology that Sorbet preached was represented in Minoan Crete, and it was about the same belief among the Serbs from Crete to Danube, as well as in Asia Minor. The mountain that was considered as an abode of gods in Crete was called Ida. The same role and the name of the mountain is also found in Asia Minor. According to Sorbet, the world was created in this way. First, there was only chaos in ether and darkness. The god of time, called Kratos or Kratilo, comes into force. The Greeks call him Chronos. Kratos creates an egg in ether which opens in two parts, and the upper part represents heaven and the lower part represents earth. Then the first world creator god appear, who are called, the first one of which is called Prvorod, or the firstborn, and who appears under several names. Prvorod is androgynous, and he gives birth to other gods. First, he gave birth to Noć, that is night, which becomes his paragona and gives him great power as well as the gift of prophecy. With his paragona night, the firstborn has two children, the god of the gods Varuna and the goddess of earth, Rheasa. The two gave birth to 12 titans. Noć handed over power to Varuna, who is the first king of the gods and guardian of their heavenly castle, Var. For Serbs, Var means fortress. The Greeks called Varuna Uranos, who is also the god of the sky. Rheasa had son Zeus with Kratos, whom she hid from the gods in cave in Crete. He swallowed Prvorod and inherited all his attributes from him. His real name is Xenos, or Genos, because he gives birth to the other gods. Zeus was most often called Div, or giant, among the Greeks Dios. The central deity in Sorbaism is Bak, who was born 3 times. Bak Prvorod, the firstborn, Bak Zagrej, and Bak the resurrected. Bak first appears as firstborn, and then Xenos, as a new parent of the gods and organizer of order, creates young Bak called Zagreus and appoints him as a king of the gods. The evil titans tore young Bak Zagre and ate his body. In Minoan Crete, everything was in a sign of Bak and Bakism, which Sorbet also brings into his teaching. After that, the gods appear who are generally called giants or divs. Then it is said about a certain giant that he is a god of some purpose. It was usually said giant of this or giant of that or simply giant. As such, he was considered wonderful and bright, hence the name Divonia, the science about divs or giants. The first deity to be named was god Prvorod, the firstborn, who was later named Svarog, and he represents the sky. Svar was the name for the firmament. From Svarog and his pareda night, Varuna is born, whom the Greeks call Uranos and who represents the sky. First of all, he is the lord of heavenly fortress, Var. Var is Serbian name for a fortress, where the gods live. From Varuna and night was born god Krat, who represents time. The Greeks call him Chronos. Krat has a multifaceted role, especially in a construction role. From Varuna and Earth, which is called Gaia in Divonia, 12 titans are born who play a negative role. Krat's son is Div, the god of light, who is also the god of the sun and lightning, Ilia. Among the old Serbs, Ilia appears as a supreme deity whom Serbs did not represent with statues or pictures. All other deities were represented. Many deities who had their own special purposes were associated to some degree with the sun. Then the god Bak, the fertility deity, appears as a son of a giant. Bak also has a multiple role. He appears in a role of Bak Zagre, from whom everything stems. The name is composed of two words, za and gresti, which means to go in all directions. According to the legend, the titans tore Div Zagre apart and ate his body. The Div, who in this case was Ilia, scorched the titans with lightning, and Mother Gaia picked up his pieces and took him to Delphi. The giant resurrects Zagreus, and he, as a resurrected son, becomes the most revered deity. His blood is used to make wine, which is served in a ritual. The human race is characterized by two natures: the divine nature of the parts of Zagre that Titans ate, and non-divine, titanic nature created from slain Titans. Original human sin comes from tearing of Zagre, and this concludes Sorbet's theology. Ilia. The central temple of god Ilia was located in the city of Ilina, later called Solin, and today it is called Split. After that temple, the people in the region of that part of Dalmatia were called Ilini. Valentin Lago says that Ilia came to the river Jadar near Split and built the city of Helena or Helenida, later Solin. His people were called Heleni or Heleni. He used, as Lago writes, the Illyrian or Slavic language, l'uso delle lingue illirica o slava. Ilia enters Christianity with the role of a thunderer, which he had been before. Today Split mentioned in sources such as Helena, Helenis, Hyles, and there was the largest sanctuary. The Jesuit historian of Illyricum, Daniele Farlati, says that Hilo, that is Ilia, is a Pelasgian Hercules, the son of the Pelasgians. This links the Illyrians, the Pelasgians, and the Serbs, and confirms that Ilia and the Pelasgian deity. He then shows that the writing and pronunciation of the name came from Illinicos, or from Illinicos to Illyricus. During the first Aryan conquest of Nino Belov, a new city was built in Mesopotamia, which was the capital of Nino's empire, and in it the famous Ilia's temple dedicated to god Ilia. The natives call it Bab Ilanu, which means the door of god Ilia. It is preserved Tower of Babel from the Bible. hence the name of the city of Babylon.